Hey guys, those in operating systems, this is our first installation of a virtual machine. What I have here is VMware Workstation Player, so you guys will be able to find that on the school computers. If it requires a school email that is associated with our license, I can find out what that email is if it's giving us a problem, or they may have already entered a professional code for licensing for our department. We'll find out in class. So I'm on my home computer. I've just downloaded the non-commercial version. We'll get it to run one way or the other. Okay, so this is VMware. We're going to start by clicking on Create a New Virtual Machine. And just off to the side, I will show you guys how to download these setup disks. Because like I said in class, the original setup for DOS was done on floppy disks. So nowadays we have CDs, DVDs. I guess some operating systems could be on Blu-ray, but the optical disk was quite a jump in storage. We'll see that later. For the time being, we will actually use virtual floppy disks. So each of these are quite small. I got them from this fellow on Instructables.com. He has an Instructable lesson called How to Install DOS 6.22 under VirtualBox. So they're using a different virtual machine. We will be using VMware, but it's the same results. All right. So the link to his Dropbox is here. You can Google this, or you can freeze the screen, type it in if you really want to, but I can give you a link if you need it. And the whole point is to get these 3 disks. Okay, so we first start by having a blank virtual machine. I clicked on Create a New Virtual Machine. I'm going to go down to where it says I will install the operating system later. Click on Next. I believe Windows is selected by default, but we'll do that afterwards. Click on Other, and it will say MS-DOS. I'm going to call mine MS-DOS 6.22 because getting the version number is critical, especially in Windows. So I left a space there. I have mine on the C drive because I don't have a choice. I don't have a D drive. In the computer lab, you guys will have to use your D drive. Okay, and I'll mention that. So I can't model that, but I'll mention it. Virtual machine hard disk, I'm going to accept the default. It's going to be 2 gigs. And as we see more complicated operating systems, it's going to get larger, but we have lots of space in our D drive, so it'll be all good. Okay, click on Next, and click on Finish. And when you're done, you get this option here for starting MS-DOS 6.22. I'm going to go down to Edit Virtual Machine Settings. And this is a list of all the virtual hardware that we have in our computer. So if we have virtual floppy disks, we need a virtual floppy drive. Click on Add, and I'm just going to quickly type this in. Okay, my admin password came up. Sorry guys, I had to type in my admin password there. Hardware types, I'm looking for floppy drive. Here it is. And I'm going to go use a floppy image. Okay, so we need to get this virtual floppy disk that we're creating to know about these disks. We have to browse for them. And I'd already done this when I did a dry run, so it's already looking at my desktop. Select Setup Disk 1, click on Open. Connect that power on is fine, click on Finish. And again, it should point to your Setup Disk 1. Okay, when it is, you click on OK. And now we can start it. So I start the virtual machine. It's going to read this virtual setup disk. And when it does that, it'll say starting MS-DOS. And once I click on the virtual machine, I can click on the inside. And if I need to get the mouse back, it's going to say hold Control and Alt. I'm going to hit Enter because it says to set up MS-DOS now, hit Enter. I'm going to accept the default option, which is configure unallocated disk space. And I'm going to hit Enter. Okay, so what it's doing now is it's reading that virtual floppy disk. It's going to quickly format the space that we provided, and then it's going to start copying these disks to the virtual hard drive. Okay, and you'll find that it goes really quickly, right? Just from personal experience, guys, you can't change these. There's no there's no English Canada, just French Canada. And keyboard layout is US. So I'm going to click on this. You get a chance to change the drive, the folder, and I'm going to just accept the default. When it gets to this point, it needs to be informed about the second disk. So I'm going to go Control Alt. I'm going to click on Player. I'm going to go to Manage and Virtual Machine Settings. And I'm going to go to Floppy, and I'm going to tell it about disk 2. Okay, so it's like taking an old disk out and putting a new disk in. Get into the operating system by clicking, hit Enter. And it'll know about the second disk. Hit Control Alt. Go up to Player, Manage, Virtual Machine Settings, Floppy, and it needs to know about the third disk. Okay, and enter it, hit Enter, and you'll find that it copies it very quickly. It says remove all disks from floppy drives and then press Enter. So we go out of this again, go to Player, go to Floppy, and I'm going to turn these off. So I'm going to deselect the connected and connect at power on options. Go back in, hit Enter, and it will restart once I hit Enter. So it says to restart your computer with MS-DOS 6.22, hit Enter, and it does. And now it's not reading the virtual floppy drives, it's reading your virtual hard disk. So you can actually type in dir, our first command, and it will give you the stuff that's in your operating system. If you want to power down, you go Control Alt, get your mouse back, go to Player, and power shutdown guest. Okay, and if you want to play around with settings for DOS software, you can see if there's stuff out there that's available. We will be seeing more about this operating system as we go on. So you install it today, you'll get a mark for it, and then we'll use it as we need.